As I look upon your faces, I see the light of God shining through each one of you. For you must understand, my dear friends, that you are not merely flesh and blood, but the very expression of the divine imagination. The power that created the universe resides within you, waiting to be awakened and unleashed. Now, let us delve into the heart of our subject. It's always you against yourself. What a revolutionary concept this is. For most of us have been conditioned to believe that our struggles are against external forces, other people, circumstances, or even fate itself. But I say to you, with all the conviction of my being, that the only real battle you will ever face is the one within yourself. You see, my beloved listeners, the world you experience is nothing more than an outpicturing of your own consciousness. Every person, every circumstance, every challenge you encounter is but a reflection of your own inner state. The universe is a mirror, faithfully reflecting back to you the contents of your own mind. Therefore, when you find yourself in conflict with the world, when you feel as though you are fighting against insurmountable odds, know this: you are not battling external forces. You are wrestling with your own thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions. Let us explore this further. Think of a time when you felt the world was against you. Perhaps you were passed over for a promotion, or a relationship ended painfully. In those moments, did you not feel as though you were fighting against unfair circumstances or cruel fate? But I say to you, even in those moments, it was you against yourself. You see, your experience of those events was shaped entirely by your own consciousness, the meaning you assigned to those experiences, the emotions they evoked, the beliefs they reinforced. All of these came from within you. Another person, facing the exact same circumstances, might have had an entirely different experience based on their own inner state. This, my dear friends, is the first great truth we must grasp if we are to master our lives. We are not victims of the world, but co-creators of it. The battle is not against external forces, but against our own limiting beliefs, negative self-talk, and restrictive assumptions about what is possible. Now, some of you may be thinking, but Neville, surely there are external circumstances beyond our control. And to this I say, yes, events may occur in the physical world that we did not consciously choose. But our experience of those events, the meaning we give them and how we respond to them, these are always within our control. Consider two people facing the same challenge. Let's say the loss of a job. One person might view this as a devastating blow, a confirmation of their worst fears about themselves and the world. They might spiral into despair, their negative thoughts creating a self-fulfilling prophecy of continued failure. The other person, however, might see the same event as an opportunity for growth and reinvention. They might use this time to pursue a long-held dream or to develop new skills. Same external event, vastly different experiences, all because of the inner state of each individual. This, my dear listeners, is why I say it's always you against yourself. The real battle is not with the world out there, but with the world within. It's a battle against your own doubts, fears, and limiting beliefs. It's a struggle to overcome the conditioned patterns of thought that keep you bound to a limited experience of life. But here's the wonderful news. If the battle is within you, then so is the victory. You have within you, at this very moment, all the power you need to overcome any challenge, to achieve any goal, to become the person you've always dreamed of being. You see, you are not separate from the power that created the universe. You are that power individualized and made manifest. The same force that spins galaxies and ignites stars flows through you. It is your very essence, your true nature. If we have all this power within us, why do we struggle? Why does it often feel as though we're fighting against ourselves? The answer, my beloved friends, lies in our habitual use of imagination. You see, imagination is the God-given power through which we shape our reality. But most of us use this power unconsciously, allowing our minds to be filled with images of lack, limitation, and failure. We rehearse our fears, relive disappointments, and mentally play out worst-case scenarios. And in doing so, we use our divine creative power against ourselves. This unconscious misuse of imagination is the source of all our struggles. It's why it feels like we're fighting against ourselves. Because in truth we are. We are using our God-given power to create the very limitations we seek to overcome. But here's the liberating truth. Just as we can use our imagination to create limitation, we can use it to create freedom, abundance, and success. The choice is always ours. This, my dear friends, is the great battle we must wage. The battle to consciously direct our imagination towards what we desire, rather than what we fear. It's a battle to choose faith over doubt, love over fear, abundance over lack. Now you might be wondering, how do I win this battle against myself? How do I overcome my own limiting thoughts and beliefs? The answer lies in a practice I call living from the end. Living from the end means imagining the fulfillment of your desire with such vivid detail and emotional intensity that it feels real to you now. It means stepping into the consciousness of the person you wish to be, feeling the feelings you would feel if your desire were already realized. For example, if your desire for financial abundance, don't merely visualize having money. Instead, feel the sense of security, freedom, and generosity that financial abundance would bring. Live from that state of consciousness now in your imagination. If your goal is a loving relationship, don't just picture being with someone. Feel the love, the companionship, the joy of shared experiences. Live from that state of being loved and loving now in your imagination. You see, my dear listeners, when you live from the end in your imagination, you are not fighting against yourself. You are aligning yourself with your desire. You are becoming, in consciousness, the person who already has what you seek. When you persist in this new state of consciousness, the outer world must reshape itself to match your inner reality. For the outer world is nothing more than a shadow, a reflection of your inner state. This is why I often say, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. For when you assume the feeling of already being or having what you desire, you are no longer fighting against yourself. You are instead allowing your true self, the God self, within you. Now, I can hear some of you thinking, but Neville, this sounds too simple. Surely there must be more to it than just imagining. And to this I say, yes, it is. But simple does not mean easy. The challenge lies not in the technique itself, but in our ability to persist in our new assumption in the face of contradictory evidence from our senses. This is where the real battle against ourselves takes place. You see, when you begin to live from the end, your physical senses will continue to show you evidence of your old reality. This is the moment when many people give up, thinking it's not working. But I say to you, this is precisely the moment when you must persist. Remember, your senses only show you the fruits of your past thoughts and beliefs. They cannot show you what is possible, only what has been. Your imagination, on the other hand, shows you what can be. And it is your imagination, not your senses, that is the true creative power in your life. So when your senses tell you that nothing has changed, when doubt creeps in and you feel the urge to return to your old patterns of thought, this is the moment to double down on your new assumption. This is the moment to declare, I am not fighting against myself any longer. I am aligning with my true self, with the God within me. These moments of doubt and struggle recall the words of Scripture. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Your faith, your persistent assumption of the reality of your desire, is the substance that will eventually solidify into physical fact. Now, let us address another aspect of this battle against ourselves. The battle against our own concept of time. You see, my dear friends, time as we experience it in the physical world is an illusion. In the realm of spirit, in the realm of imagination, there's only the eternal now. When we say, I will be successful someday, or one day I'll find love, we are pushing our desires into an imaginary future, thereby creating separation between ourselves and our desires. This is another way we fight against ourselves. by creating a gap in time between our current state and our desired state. But I say to you, there is no someday in God's kingdom. There is only now. Your desire exists now in the realm of imagination. And since imagination creates reality, your task is to bring that desire into your present experience by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled now. This is why I often encourage my students to use the phrase I remember when imagining their desires. For example, instead of saying, someday I'll be financially free, say, I remember when I struggled financially. How wonderful it is now to live in abundance. By phrasing your desire in this way, you are mentally placing the fulfillment of your wish in the past, thereby eliminating the illusory gap of time between you and your desire. You are no longer fighting against time, but aligning yourself with the timeless nature of your true self. My dear friends, understand, the battle against yourself is ultimately a battle against your own concept of who you are and what's possible for you. It's a battle against the limited, conditioned self that believes in lack, limitation, and separation from your good. But you are not that limited self. You are the God self, the Christ within, the divine imagination made manifest. And that self knows no limitations, no restrictions, no impossibilities. This brings us to another crucial aspect of our topic, the battle against our own self-concept. You see, each of us carries within us a mental image of who we are, what we're capable of, and what we deserve. This self-concept acts like a thermostat, regulating our experiences to match our inner beliefs. If your self-concept is one of limitation and unworthiness, you will unconsciously sabotage your own efforts to succeed. You'll find ways to prove to yourself that you're not good enough, smart enough, or deserving enough. This is another way we fight against ourselves, by living up to a self-concept that doesn't reflect our true divine nature. The good news is that this self-concept is not fixed. It's not something imposed upon you from outside. It's a creation of your own imagination, and therefore it can be changed through the same power that created it. To win the battle against your limiting self-concept, you must dare to imagine yourself as the person you wish to be. You must create a new self-concept that aligns with your desires and your true divine nature. This is not about creating a false, inflated ego. It's about recognizing and claiming your true identity as a divine being, capable of creating any reality you can imagine. It's about aligning your self-concept with the truth of who you really are. So I say to you, my dear listeners, dare to imagine yourselves as the person you wish to be. See yourself as confident, capable, and worthy of all good things. Feel the naturalness of being this expanded version of yourself. And as you persist in this new self-concept, you will find your outer world reshaping itself to match your inner vision. Now let us address another aspect of this battle against ourselves. The battle against our own habits of thought and action. You see, my beloved friends, we are creatures of habit. Our minds tend to follow familiar patterns of thought, and our bodies tend to repeat familiar actions. These habits can be a powerful force for good when they align with our desires. But all too often, our habitual thoughts and actions work against us, reinforcing the very limitations we seek to overcome. For instance, if you have a habit of worrying about money, that habit will continually create experiences of financial stress in your life. If you have a habit of expecting the worst in relationships, that habit will attract experiences that confirm your expectations. To win the battle against yourself, you must become aware of these habitual patterns and consciously choose new ones. This requires vigilance and persistence. You must catch yourself in the act of thinking or acting in ways that don't serve you, and consciously choose a different thought or action. Remember, my dear friends, every thought you think, every word you speak, every action you take is a seed planted in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind. And just as surely as an acorn grows into an oak tree, these seeds will grow into the circumstances of your life. Therefore, cultivate the habit of thinking thoughts of abundance, love, and success. Speak words that affirm your divine nature and infinite potential. Take actions that align with the person you wish to be. As you do this consistently, you will find that you're no longer fighting against yourself, but working in harmony with your true divine self. Now, let us explore another dimension of this battle against ourselves. The battle against our own resistance to change. You see, my dear listeners, even when we consciously desire change, there's often a part of us that resists it. This resistance comes from our ego, the part of us that clings to the familiar, even when the familiar is painful or limiting. This resistance can manifest in many ways. It might show up as procrastination, self-doubt, or a sudden urge to distract ourselves when we're on the verge of a breakthrough. It might appear as a voice in our head saying, "Who do you think you are to want more?" This resistance is another way we fight against ourselves. It's the part of us that fears the unknown, that prefers the certainty of our current limitations to the uncertainty of growth and change. To overcome this resistance, we must understand that it's not our enemy. It's simply a part of us that's trying to keep us safe in the only way it knows how, by maintaining the status quo. But we can reassure this part of ourselves that it's safe to change, safe to grow, safe to become more. One powerful way to do this is through what I call the lullaby method. This involves speaking to yourself with the same loving reassurance you would use to soothe a frightened child. You might say something like, "It's okay. You're safe. This change is good for us. We're growing into our true divine nature." As you consistently soothe your own resistance in this way, you'll find that the battle against yourself begins to subside. The part of you that once resisted change will begin to embrace it, recognizing that growth and expansion are your natural state. Now, my dear friends, as we delve deeper into our topic, let us consider another aspect of this battle against ourselves. The battle against our own sense of separation from our good. You see, many of us have been conditioned to believe that what we desire is outside of us, separate from us. We believe we must struggle and strive to attain it, to bring it from out there to in here. But I say to you, this belief in separation is the root of all our struggles. It is the ultimate way we fight against ourselves. For the truth is, there is no separation between you and your good. All that you desire already exists within you. In the realm of infinite possibility, that is your true nature. Your desires are not random wishes, but the voice of God within you, calling you to express more of your divine nature. They are the seeds of your future self already present within you, waiting to be acknowledged and nurtured into manifestation. Therefore, to win the battle against yourself, you must overcome this sense of separation. You must realize and feel the truth that you are one with all that you desire. This is what Jesus meant when he said, "The kingdom of God is within you." How do we realize this oneness? Through the power of feeling. You must feel the reality of your desire now. Feel the joy, the satisfaction, the fulfillment that your desire brings. Feel it so completely that in your imagination it becomes your present reality. As you do this, you are no longer fighting against yourself by pushing your good away into some future time or external location. Instead, you are aligning with the truth of your being, that you are one with all that you desire. This brings us to another crucial point in our discussion: the battle against our own disbelief in the power of imagination. You see, my dear listeners, we have been taught to trust only what our physical senses show us. We've been conditioned to believe that the real world is the one we can see, hear, touch, taste, and smell. But I say to you, the world of the senses is not the real world. It is merely a shadow, a reflection of the true reality that exists in imagination. Your imagination is not a fantasy factory spinning idle dreams. It is the very workshop of creation, the place where all things come into being. Everything you see in the physical world was once only an image in someone's imagination. The chair you're sitting on, the clothes you're wearing, the building you're in, all of these were imagined before they were made manifest. To win the battle against yourself, you must overcome your disbelief in the power of imagination. You must dare to trust that what you imagine and feel is real is indeed the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. This requires a radical shift in consciousness. It requires you to place your faith not in the evidence of your senses, but in the reality of your imaginal act. It requires you to know with unshakable certainty that what you imagine and feel as real must inevitably express itself in your physical reality. My dear friends, this is the essence of what it means to live by faith. Not a blind faith in some external power, but a living faith in the God within you, in the power of your own divine imagination. As you cultivate this faith, you will find that you are no longer fighting against yourself. You are no longer at war with your own creative power. Instead, you are flowing with it, allowing it to express itself fully in your life. Now, let us address another aspect of this battle against ourselves. The battle against our own concept of God. You see, many of us have been taught to think of God as a being separate from ourselves, a cosmic judge watching our every move and meting out rewards and punishments. But I say to you, this concept of God is the ultimate way we fight against ourselves. For it places the power outside of us, making us feel small, powerless, and unworthy. It creates a sense of separation between us and the divine, leading to feelings of fear, guilt, and unworthiness. The truth, my dear listeners, is that God is not separate from you. God is your own wonderful human imagination. The power you have been seeking outside yourself has been within you all along. You are the operant power in your world. You are the God you have been seeking. This is not blasphemy, but the deepest truth of your being. It is the meaning behind the scriptural declaration, I and my Father are one. It is the reality that Jesus pointed to when he said, the kingdom of God is within you. To win the battle against yourself, you must overcome this limiting concept of God. You must dare to claim your divine nature, to recognize that the power you have been seeking is your very own consciousness. This doesn't mean becoming arrogant or egotistical. On the contrary, it means embracing a profound humility. The humility to accept that you're indeed an expression of the divine, that your consciousness is the very power that creates worlds. As you embrace this truth, you will find that you are no longer fighting against yourself. You are no longer at war with your own divine nature. Instead, you are allowing that divine nature to express itself fully through you. Now, my dear friends, as we near the conclusion of our discourse, let us consider one final aspect of this battle against ourselves, the battle against our own forgiveness. You see, many of us carry within us a burden of guilt, shame, and self-condemnation. We remember our past mistakes, our failures, our moments of weakness, and we use these memories as weapons against ourselves. We tell ourselves that we are unworthy, that we don't deserve the good we desire, that we must somehow atone for our past before we can claim our good. But I say to you, this refusal to forgive ourselves is perhaps the most insidious way we fight against ourselves. For it keeps us bound to the past, preventing us from stepping into the fullness of who we truly are. Remember, my dear listeners, in the realm of spirit, there is no past. There is only the eternal now. Your past exists only in your memory, and memory is imagination. Therefore, you have the power to reimagine your past. This is the true meaning of forgiveness. It's not about condoning past actions or forgetting what happened. It's about releasing the emotional charge associated with those memories. It's about choosing to see your past self with compassion and understanding, recognizing that you were doing the best you could with the awareness you had at the time. To win the battle against yourself, you must forgive yourself completely and unconditionally. You must release yourself from the prison of self-condemnation and step into the freedom of self-love and self-acceptance. And as you do this, you will find that you are no longer fighting against yourself. You are no longer at war with your own past. Instead, you are free to live fully in the present, to express the truth of who you are without the weight of past mistakes holding you back. My dear friends, as we come to the close of our time together, I want you to understand that the battle against yourself is not something to be won once and for all. It is an ongoing process, a moment-by-moment choice to align with your true divine nature rather than with your conditioned, limited self. There will be times when you slip back into old patterns, when you find yourself fighting against yourself once again. When this happens, do not judge yourself harshly. Simply become aware, make a new choice, and gently redirect your imagination to what you desire to be, do, and have. Remember, the power to change your life lies within you at this very moment. It is your own wonderful human imagination. Use it wisely. Use it to create a life that reflects the truth of who you really are. Go forth from this place tonight with the knowledge that you are infinitely loved, infinitely supported, and infinitely powerful. You have within you everything you need to overcome the battle against yourself and to create a life beyond your wildest dreams. And so, my beloved sisters, I leave you with this final thought. The battle against yourself is ultimately a battle for yourself. It's a battle to reclaim your divine nature, to remember who you truly are, to awaken to the God within you. As you go about your days, whenever you find yourself in struggle or conflict, pause and ask yourself, am I fighting against myself right now? Am I resisting my own good? Am I denying my own divine nature? And in that moment of awareness, choose again. Choose to align with your true self. Choose to imagine the best. Choose to feel the reality of your desires now. For in doing so, you are not merely winning the battle against yourself. You are transcending the need for battle altogether. You are stepping into the peace, the power, and the infinite possibility that is your true nature. Go now and live from the depths of your being. Remember always that it's not you against the world, but you against yourself. And in that remembering, choose to be for yourself, to love yourself, to express the fullness of your divine nature. The world awaits your light. Shine brightly and never look back. And so it is.
What it truly means when we say, everyone leaves on the surface, it may appear to be a statement of abandonment, of loss of inevitable solitude. But I tell you, it is a statement of profound truth about the nature of our reality and our journey through this world. You see, in this world of Caesar, in this realm of shadows and reflections, people come and go. Relationships form and dissolve. Even the most steadfast companions will, at some point, depart, if not through choice, then through the natural course of life and death. This is the way of the world we perceive with our physical senses. But I am here to remind you of a greater truth. You are never truly alone. For you are one with the divine, with the creative power of the universe, with what I often refer to as your wonderful human imagination. This is the God within you, and it is ever present, all powerful, and the true source of all that you experience in your world. When we say everyone leaves, we are acknowledging the transient nature of our external experiences. We are recognizing that all things in this world of Caesar are temporary, fleeting. But in this recognition, we open ourselves to a profound realization. The only constant in your life is you, not the you of flesh and bone, but the divine you, the I am that is your true self. This I am is the God within you. It is the creative power that shapes your reality. It is the awareness that observes your thoughts, feelings, and experiences, and it is the only thing that truly never leaves you. Everything else, every person, every circumstance, every material possession is but a shadow, a reflection of your inner state. Now, you might be thinking, but Neville, this sounds isolating. Are you saying we should push everyone away? No, my dear friends, that is not what I'm suggesting at all. Instead, I'm inviting you to shift your perspective, to realize that your true power, your true essence, lies within you and not in the external world. When you understand this, when you truly grasp that you are one with the divine creative power of the universe, you will never feel alone again. You will realize that you have within you everything you need to not just survive, but to thrive, to create, to manifest the life of your dreams. Let me share with you a simple truth that has transformed countless lives. Your imagination is the God within you. It is the creative power through which all things are possible. When you learn to harness this power, when you learn to live from the end, to experience in your imagination the reality you desire, you become the master of your own destiny. You see, the world around you, with all its people and circumstances, is nothing more than a mirror reflecting back to you your own inner state. When you change within, the reflection must change without. This is the law, and it is immutable. So when we speak of learning to survive alone, what we're really talking about is learning to tap into the infinite power within you. It's about realizing that you are the operant power in your world. You are the one who decides what your experience will be, regardless of external circumstances. Now, let's delve deeper into this concept of being alone. In the world of Caesar, being alone often carries negative connotations. We're told that humans are social creatures, that we need others to thrive. And while it's true that relationships and connections can enrich our lives, it's crucial to understand that true fulfillment, true peace, true power comes from within. When you learn to be comfortable in your own company, when you learn to rely on your own inner resources, you become invincible. No external circumstance can shake you because you know that you carry within you the power to change any situation, to create any reality you desire. This is what it means to truly survive alone. It means to stand firm in the knowledge of who you really are, a divine being, one with God, possessing infinite creative power. It means to live from that state of awareness, to operate in the world from that unshakable foundation. But how do we achieve this state? How do we come to this realization and begin to live from it? The answer, my friends, lies in the practice of what I call the law. This law is simple yet profound. Imagine the reality you desire, feel it as real, and it must come to pass in your external world. You see, your imagination is not some fanciful, idle daydreaming. It is the very workshop of creation. When you imagine, you are engaging the God within you. You are exercising your divine creative power. And when you couple that imagination with feeling, when you feel the reality of what you've imagined, you set in motion the forces that will bring that imagined reality into your physical experience. This is how you not only survive but thrive when everyone leaves. You realize that you never needed anyone else to complete you, to fulfill you, to make you whole. You always had within you everything you needed. The people in your life, the relationships, the connections, these are all wonderful expressions of your inner state, reflections of your consciousness. But they are not the source of your happiness, your success, your fulfillment. You are the source. Let me give you an example to illustrate this point. Imagine a young woman who has just gone through a difficult breakup. In the world of Caesar, she might feel lost, alone, incomplete. She might believe that her happiness walked out the door with her former partner. But if this young woman understands the law, if she grasped the truth of her own divine nature, she would see the situation very differently. Instead of focusing on the loss, on the absence, she would turn within. She would use her imagination to create the reality she desires. Perhaps she imagines herself confident, joyful, and fulfilled. Perhaps she feels the reality of being in a loving, supportive relationship. Or perhaps she imagines herself thriving in her career, surrounded by friends, living a life of purpose and passion. The key is this: whatever she imagines and feels as real must by law be reflected in her external reality. This is not wishful thinking or positive affirmations. This is the operation of cosmic law. This is the creative power of God, the human imagination at work. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Neville, isn't this selfish? Shouldn't we be focusing on others, on building relationships and connections? And to this, I say, there is no greater service you can offer to the world than to realize your own divine nature, to manifest your highest self, to live from the state of the person you wish to be. You see, when you do this, when you live from the end, from the state of your wish fulfilled, you automatically uplift everyone around you. You become a living example of what's possible. Your very being becomes an inspiration, a beacon of light in the world. Moreover, when you understand that everyone in your world is you pushed out, a reflection of your own consciousness, you realize that by changing yourself, by living from your higher state, you are quite literally changing the world. You are improving every relationship, every interaction, every circumstance in your life. This, my dear friends, is the true meaning of learning to survive alone. It's not about isolation or self-sufficiency in the worldly sense. It's about realizing your oneness with God, your true identity as the operant power in your world. It's about understanding that everything you seek, love, success, fulfillment, peace, is already within you, waiting to be recognized and expressed. Let's explore this concept further through the lens of various life situations. Consider the realm of career and success. Many people believe that their success depends on external factors, on knowing the right people, on being in the right place at the right point, on having the right qualifications or background. But I tell you, true success comes from within. When you imagine yourself successful, when you feel the reality of being the person you wish to be in your career, you align yourself with that state. You begin to think, speak, and act from that state of success. And inevitably, the outer world must reorganize itself to match your inner assumption. I've seen this principle at work countless times. I remember a young man who came to one of my lectures. He was struggling in his career, feeling stuck and unappreciated. I advised him to imagine himself in the position he desired, to feel the satisfaction and confidence of being successful in his field. At first he was skeptical, but never, he said, I don't have the experience or the connections. How can simply imagining make a difference? I told him to persist in his imaginal act, to make it so real that he could taste it, feel it, live it in his mind. Weeks later, he returned with a beaming smile. Not only had he been promoted to the very position he had imagined, but opportunities he had never even considered had begun to flow into his life. You see, when he changed his inner state, when he began to live from the end in his imagination, the outer world had no choice but to conform to his new self-concept. This, my friends, is the power you hold within you. This is how you thrive when it seems like everyone has left. When the outer world seems unsupportive or even hostile to hope, you turn within, you imagine the reality you desire, and you live from that state. Now let's turn our attention to the realm of relationships, for this is often where the fear of being alone is most keenly felt. Many of you may have experienced the pain of loss, the ache of heartbreak, the fear of abandonment. And in those moments, it can feel as though a vital part of you has been torn away. But I am here to remind you of a profound truth. No one can complete you because you are already complete. You are whole, perfect, and complete in your divine nature. The love you seek, the companionship you desire, these are all within you, waiting to be recognized and expressed. When you understand this, when you live from this truth, you free yourself from the desperate need for others to fill a perceived void in your life. You become magnetic, attracting into your life people and relationships that reflect your inner state of wholeness and love. Let me share with you the story of a dear friend who grasped this truth and transformed her life. She had been through a series of unfulfilling relationships, each ending in heartbreak and disappointment. She came to me feeling depleted, wondering if she was destined to be alone forever. I asked her a simple question. Who would you be if you were in the perfect relationship? How would you feel? How would you carry yourself? I encouraged her to imagine herself as that person, to feel the joy, the confidence, the love that she would feel in her ideal relationship. At first, she found it challenging. The pain of her past experiences kept intruding on her imaginal scene. But I urged her to persist, to make her imaginal act more real than her memories of past disappointments. Gradually, she began to feel a shift. She noticed that she was becoming more confident, more joyful, more at peace with herself. She no longer felt the desperate need to be in a relationship. And then something remarkable happened. Not only did she begin to attract healthier, more fulfilling relationships into her life, but she realized that she had fallen in love with herself. She had discovered the wellspring of love within her own being. She understood, perhaps for the first time, that she was complete in herself. This, my dear friends, is the liberating truth I want you to grasp tonight. When you realize that you are complete in yourself, when you tap into the infinite love and power within you, you free yourself from the fear of being alone. You learn not just to survive, but to thrive in any circumstance. Now, let's address another aspect of our topic, the fear of death. For in the world of Caesar, death represents the ultimate leaving, the final solitude. Many live in fear of this moment, seeing it as the end of everything, the ultimate separation. But I tell you, death is but a transition, a shift in consciousness. When you understand your true nature as a spiritual being, as one with God, you realize death holds no power over you. Your true self, your I am, is eternal and unchanging. In fact, I encourage you to practice dying daily. By this, I mean to die to your old concept of self, to let go of limiting beliefs and negative self-images. Each night as you go to sleep, imagine yourself as the person you wish to be. Feel the reality of your wish fulfilled. Then, as you awake each morning, carry that new self-concept with you into your day. This practice of dying daily to your old self and being reborn to your ideal self is the key to personal transformation. It is how you survive and thrive in a world where everything is constantly changing, where people come and go, where nothing in the world of Caesar is permanent. Remember, my friends, that your true home is not in this world of shadows and reflections. Your true home is in the realm of imagination, in the kingdom of God within you. When you live from this awareness, you are never truly alone, never truly abandoned, never truly at the mercy of external circumstances. Let's now turn our attention to the practical application of these principles in your daily life. How do you begin to live from this state of divine awareness? How do you tap into the God within you and create the life you desire? The first step is to still your mind, to quiet the incessant chatter of your physical senses and your rational mind. This is why I often emphasize the importance of meditation and contemplation. Find time each day to sit in silence, to turn your attention inward. As you sit in silence, bring to mind the reality you wish to experience. See it clearly in your mind's eye, but don't stop at mere visualization. Engage all your senses. If you're imagining a successful career, feel the satisfaction of achievement. Hear the congratulations of your colleagues. Feel the weight of responsibility and the thrill of new challenges. If you're imagining a loving relationship, feel the warmth of your partner's embrace. Hear the words of love and support. Feel the deep sense of connection and understanding. Whatever you're imagining, make it as real and as vivid as possible. And here's the crucial part. Feel the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Feel the gratitude, the joy, the sense of accomplishment, as if what you're imagining is already your reality. This feeling, this emotion, is the secret to effective manifestation. For you see, the subconscious mind, which is one with the universal creative force, doesn't distinguish between what you're experiencing in your physical reality and what you're experiencing vividly in your imagination. When you feel the reality of your imagined state, you impress that reality upon your subconscious mind, and it begins to work tirelessly to bring that reality into your physical experience. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Neville, I've tried this, and it didn't work. I imagined what I wanted, but nothing changed to this. I say persistence is key. You must return to your imaginal scene night after night, impressing it upon your subconscious mind until it feels more real to you than your current physical reality. Remember, you are undoing years, perhaps decades of negative thinking and limiting beliefs. You are reversing the momentum of your old thought patterns. This takes time and consistent effort. But I assure you, if you persist, if you remain faithful to your imaginal act, it must bear fruit in your physical reality. Moreover, you must learn to live from the state of your wish fulfilled. This means aligning your thoughts, words, and actions with the person you are imagining yourself to be. If you're imagining financial abundance, start treating yourself as if you are already wealthy. If you're imagining a loving relationship, start treating yourself and others with the love and respect you envision in your ideal relationship. This is what I mean when I speak of living from the end. You don't wait for your outer world to change before you change your inner state. You change your inner state, and your outer world must follow suit. Now let's address a common concern that arises when we speak of creating our own reality. Many worry, if I'm creating my reality, does that mean I'm to blame for all the negative things in my life? And to this I say, let go of the concepts of blame and fault. These are limiting beliefs that keep you trapped in a cycle of guilt and self-recrimination. Instead, embrace the empowering truth that if you can imagine it, you can create it. Your past thoughts and beliefs may have contributed to your current circumstances, but your future is determined by your present thoughts and beliefs. You have the power right now, in this very moment, to begin creating the life you desire. This understanding is particularly powerful when it comes to healing from past hurts and traumas. Many of you may have experienced abandonment, betrayal, or loss. These experiences can leave deep scars, making it difficult to trust, to open your heart, to believe in the possibility of love and connection. But I tell you, no matter what you've experienced in the past, you have the power to heal. You have the power to rewrite your story, to create a new narrative for your life. And it all begins in your imagination. Imagine yourself healed, whole, and complete. Feel the peace that comes with forgiveness, the joy that comes with self-love, the confidence that comes with knowing your own worth. Live from this state and watch as your outer world begins to reflect your inner healing. Remember, everyone who has ever hurt you, everyone who has ever left you, was simply playing a role in the story you were telling. As you change your story, as you revise your concept of self, the characters in your life will either change to match your new narrative or they will exit stage left, making room for new characters who align with your new self-concept. This is the true meaning of learning to survive alone. It's about recognizing that you are the author of your life story. You are the creator of your reality. You have within you everything you need to create the life you desire. Now, let's talk about the concept of revision, a powerful technique that can help you reshape your past and consequently your present and future. Revision is not about denying what happened, but about reinterpreting events in a way that empowers you and aligns with your desired reality. For instance, if you've experienced a painful breakup, instead of replaying the hurt and betrayal in your mind you have seen, imagine the relationship ending amicably with both parties wishing each other well. Feel the peace and closure that comes with this revised scenario. Or if you've lost a job, instead of dwelling on the feelings of rejection and failure, revise the scene. Imagine your former employer congratulating you on moving on to bigger, better opportunities. Feel the excitement and optimism of new beginnings. By revising past events in your imagination, you're not changing what physically happened, but you are changing your emotional response to those events. And since your emotional state is what creates your reality, this revision can have a profound impact on your present and future experiences. This practice of revision is particularly powerful when it comes to healing feelings of abandonment or betrayal. Instead of seeing yourself as a victim of others' actions, you begin to see yourself as the powerful creator of your own experience. You realize that no one can truly abandon you because you are never alone. You are always one with the divine, with the God within you. Now, I want to address something that many of you may be feeling as you hear these words. You might be thinking, Neville, this all sounds wonderful, but it feels selfish. Shouldn't we be focusing on helping others, on making the world a better place? To this I say, there is no greater service you can offer to the world than to realize your own divine nature and to live a nature. When you tap into the God within you, when you begin to create consciously and deliberately, you become a beacon of light in the world. Your very being uplifts those around you. Moreover, when you understand that everyone and everything in your world is you pushed out, a reflection of your own consciousness, you realize that by changing yourself, you are changing the world. As you cultivate love, peace, and abundance within yourself, you naturally extend these qualities to everyone in your world. This is the true meaning of being your brother's keeper. It's not about trying to change others or fix their problems. It's about embodying the change you wish to see in the world. It's about living from the state of the person you wish to be. And in doing so, inspiring others to recognize their own divine nature. Let me share with you a powerful practice that can help you embody this understanding. Each night, before you go to sleep, I want you to imagine yourself as the person you wish to be. See yourself living the life you desire, embodying the qualities you admire. But don't stop there. As you imagine this ideal version of yourself, extend that same love, success, and fulfillment to everyone in your world. See everyone around you thriving, joyful, and fulfilled. Feel the happiness that comes from knowing that as you prosper, so does everyone in your world. This practice not only accelerates your own manifestation process, but also cultivates a deep sense of connection and oneness with all of life. You begin to understand experientially that there is no separation, that we are all one in consciousness. As you continue this practice, you'll find that your fear of being alone, your fear of abandonment begins to dissolve. You realize that you can never truly be alone because you are one with all of life. You are one with God, the creative power of the universe. Now let's delve deeper into the concept of states of consciousness, for this understanding is crucial to mastering the art of conscious creation. Every experience you have, every circumstance in your life, is the result of the state of consciousness you're occupying. A state is simply a mindset, a way of being. It's the sum total of your thoughts, beliefs, and feelings about yourself and the world. When you change your state, when you shift your consciousness to embody different thoughts, beliefs, and feelings, your experience must change to match your new state. This is why it's so important to mind your inner conversations, to be aware of the thoughts you're thinking and the emotions you're feeling throughout your seal. These inner conversations, these habitual thought patterns, are creating your reality. If you find yourself constantly thinking thoughts of lack, of loneliness, of abandonment, you're occupying a state that will continue to create experiences that match those thoughts. But the moment you shift your consciousness, the moment you begin to think thoughts of abundance, of connection, of divine companionship, you move into a new state. And your reality must shift to reflect this new state. This understanding is particularly powerful when it comes to dealing with the fear of being alone. You see, loneliness is a state of consciousness. It's not determined by your external circumstances, but by your inner perception of those circumstances. You can be in a room full of people and feel desperately alone if you're occupying a state of loneliness. Conversely, you can be physically alone and feel deeply connected and fulfilled if you're occupying a state of divine companionship, of oneness with God. The key then is to consciously choose the state you wish to occupy. And you do this through your imagination. By imagining yourself in the state you desire, by feeling the reality of that state, you begin to shift your consciousness. And as your consciousness shifts, your reality must follow suit. Let me give you a practical exercise to help you master this skill of state shifting. Choose a state you wish to embody. Perhaps it's confidence, or love, or success. Now, close your eyes and imagine a scene that implies you are already living from that state. Make it as vivid and as real as possible. For instance, if you're imagining the state of confidence, you might see yourself giving a powerful presentation to a room full of attentive listeners. Feel the confidence coursing through your body. Hear the applause at the end of your talk. Feel the satisfaction of knowing you've made a positive impact. Now here's the crucial part. Carry this feeling with you throughout your day. When you interact with others, when you go about your tasks, do so from this state of confidence. Speak, think, and act as the confident person you've imagined yourself to be. At first, this might feel like you're pretending or playing a role, but I assure you, as you persist in this practice, it will become more and more natural. You'll find yourself spontaneously thinking and acting from this new state. And as you do, you'll see your outer world begin to reflect your inner state. This practice of consciously choosing and occupying states is the key to mastering your life experience. It's how you learn not just to survive, but to thrive, regardless of external circumstances. It's how you become the conscious creator of your reality. Now, I want to address a question that often arises when we discuss these principles. Many ask, Neville, if I can create my reality through my imagination, why do bad things stay? Why do I still experience loss and pain? To this I say, remember that you are in the process of awakening to your true nature as a divine creator. You are learning to use the power of your imagination consciously and deliberately. But for much of your life, you've been creating unconsciously, reacting to circumstances rather than consciously choosing your state. Moreover, you are surrounded by the thoughts and beliefs of others, by societal conditioning that often runs counter to these principles. It takes time and practice to overcome these influences and to consistently create from a place of conscious awareness. But here's the empowering truth. Even when challenging circumstances arise, you have the power to choose how you respond. You have the power to revise your experience, to find the gift in every situation, to use every experience as an opportunity for growth and expansion. This is what it means to be the operant power in your world. It doesn't mean that you'll never face challenges or that everything will always go smoothly. It means that you have the power to choose your response to every situation, to create meaning from every experience, to use every circumstance as a stepping stone to your desired reality. As we near the conclusion of our discussion, I want to leave you with a powerful reminder. You are never truly alone. The God within you, your own wonderful human imagination, is your constant companion, your unfailing friend, your source of infinite possibility. When you fully grasp this truth, when you live from this understanding, you free yourself from the fear of abandonment, from the anxiety of being alone. You realize that everything you seek, love, companionship, success, fulfillment, is already within you, waiting to be recognized and expressed. So, my dear friends, as you go forth from this place, I encourage you to practice living from the state of your wish fulfilled. Imagine the reality you desire. Feel it as real and persist in that feeling. Know that as you do this, you are engaging the creative power of the universe. You are activating the God within you. Remember, everyone leads in the world of Caesar, but in the world of spirit, in the kingdom of God within you, you are never alone. You are one with the source of all creation, one with the power that shapes universes. Embrace this truth. Live from this understanding. And watch as your world transforms to reflect the divine being that you truly are. Thank you, and may God bless you all. Most men live their lives in a state of perpetual distraction. They scatter their mental energy like seeds thrown carelessly upon the wind, wondering why their harvest never comes. They focus intensely upon their problems, their limitations, their past failures, and then marvel that these very things continue to manifest in their experience. But I tell you tonight, focus is the creative power of consciousness itself. And wherever you place your sustained attention, there you will find your world taking shape. The average man believes that focusing means thinking hard about something, straining and forcing the mind toward a particular object. But this is not the focus I speak of. True focus is not mental strain, it is mental absorption. It is the complete identification of consciousness with its desired state. When you truly focus, you do not think about your desire from the outside looking in, but rather you think from your desire as though it were already your lived reality. Consider the sculptor who looks upon a block of marble. He does not see stone, he sees the magnificent statue that already exists within. His focus is not upon the marble that must be chipped away, but upon the form that must be revealed. This is the quality of focus that creates worlds. The sculptor's hands become merely the instruments through which his focused vision expresses itself in the world of form. Similarly, your circumstances, your relationships, your opportunities become the instruments through which your focused consciousness expresses itself as your lived experience. But here is where most men falter. They attempt to focus while simultaneously entertaining doubt. They try to hold their desire in consciousness while allowing fear to occupy the same space. This is like trying to fill a vessel while simultaneously pouring out its contents. True focus, requires the complete displacement of contrary states. You cannot be focused upon wealth while entertaining thoughts of poverty. You cannot be focused upon health while dwelling upon illness. You cannot be focused upon love while harboring resentment. The mind that is truly focused becomes so absorbed in its desired state that opposing states find no room to exist. This brings us to a profound understanding. Focus is not something you do occasionally when you remember to desire something better. Focus must become your natural state of being. Just as a river naturally flows toward the ocean, your consciousness must naturally flow toward your desired state. This requires a fundamental reordering of your mental habits, a complete revolution in how you use your mind throughout each day. Most people believe they are victims of their circumstances, that life happens to them rather than through them. But I tell you, circumstances are simply the outpicturing of your habitual states of consciousness. Change your habitual focus, and you must change your world. This is not theory. This is the fundamental law governing all manifestation. Your world is the faithful reproduction of your inner states, and your inner states are determined by what you habitually focus upon. Now, when I speak of focusing upon your desire, I do not mean fantasizing about it or wishing for it. I mean assuming the feeling of already being what you want to be, already having what you want to have. This assumption must be so complete, so natural, that it becomes more real to you than your present circumstances. You must focus with such intensity that your desired state becomes your lived experience in consciousness, regardless of what your senses may be reporting. The great secret is this: consciousness is the only reality. What you are conscious of being, you are. What you are conscious of having, you have. What you are conscious of experiencing, you experience. But consciousness must be sustained, not merely visited. You cannot assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled for a few moments and then return to your old states of consciousness, expecting your world to change. The change in consciousness must be permanent, or at least sustained until it becomes natural to you. This is why everything you desire requires a new level of focus. Your current level of focus has produced your current results. If you want different results, you must develop a different quality of attention. You must learn to focus not with strain and effort, but with the same naturalness with which you focus upon your own existence. Just as you never doubt that you are, you must never doubt that your desire is already fulfilled in consciousness. But how does one develop this quality of focus? It begins with understanding that focus is not about forcing your mind to stay still, but of training your mind to dwell naturally in your desired state. Just as water finds its own level consciousness when properly directed, finds its natural expression in your desired state. So this requires practice, yes, but not the practice of struggle. It requires the practice of assumption, the practice of dwelling in your desired state until it becomes so familiar that it feels more natural than your current circumstances. Every time you catch your mind wandering back to old patterns, to old limitations, to old problems, you must gently but firmly redirect it to your desired state. Not with violence, not with frustration, but with the same persistence with which you would train a beloved child. Your consciousness is infinitely precious, and how you train it determines the entire quality of your life experience. The man who has learned to focus properly understands that his inner conversations create his outer world. If you spend your days talking to yourself about your problems, your limitations, your fears, then these inner conversations are weaving the very fabric of your future experiences. But if you learn to converse within yourself from the assumption that your desires are already fulfilled, then these new inner conversations begin immediately to externalize themselves as your lived reality. This is not positive thinking in the superficial sense. This is the recognition that thinking is the actual creative activity of consciousness. When you think from your desire as already fulfilled, you are not trying to convince yourself of something false. You are recognizing something true. In consciousness, your desire already exists as accomplished fact. The focus required is simply the sustained recognition of this truth until it becomes so natural that it expresses itself automatically in your world. But here's where many become confused. They believe that once they have focused properly for a time, they should see immediate results in their external world. When these results do not appear according to their timetable, they conclude that the principle does not work and return to their old patterns of focus. This is like planting a seed and then digging it up every day to see if it has grown. The seed grows in its own time, according to natural law, but only if it is left undisturbed in the proper environment. Your focused consciousness is the soil in which your desires take root and grow. But this soil must be maintained consistently. You cannot focus properly for a week and then return to old patterns of worry and doubt, expecting your desire to continue growing. The environment of consciousness must be maintained until the desire has fully externalized itself as your lived experience. This is why I emphasize that everything you desire requires a new level of focus. It is not enough to want something. Millions of people want things they never receive. It is not enough to think about something occasionally. Casual thinking produces casual results. What is required is the complete reorganization of your consciousness around your desired state. This reorganization must be so thorough that your old way of thinking becomes literally impossible for you. Consider the man who desires wealth but continues to focus upon his bills, his debts, his financial limitations. No matter how much he may want wealth, his focus is creating more of what he does not want. His consciousness is organized around lack, and lack is what he must experience. But let this same man reorganize his consciousness around wealth. Let him assume the feeling of being wealthy until it becomes natural to him, and his external world must conform to this new inner arrangement. This reorganization is not accomplished through willpower or mental effort. It is accomplished through understanding and assumption. When you truly understand that consciousness is the only reality, that what you are conscious of being you must experience as your world, then assumption becomes natural. You assume your desired state not because you are trying to make something happen, but because you recognize that in consciousness it has already happened. The quality of focus I speak of is like the focus of a lover upon the beloved. The lover does not strain to think about the beloved. Thoughts of the beloved arise naturally, constantly, joyfully. The lover does not have to remember to love. Love is the natural state from which all thinking proceeds. This is the quality of focus you must develop toward your desired state. It must become so natural, so automatic, that thinking from your desire becomes as effortless as breathing. But this level of focus requires a sacrifice. You must sacrifice your old mental habits, your old ways of thinking, your old conversations with yourself. You must sacrifice the perverse pleasure you may have taken in your problems, the identity you may have built around your limitations. Most people cling to their problems because they have become comfortable with them, familiar with them. The known misery seems safer than the unknown joy. But I tell you, you cannot serve two masters. You cannot focus upon your desire while simultaneously nurturing your problems. You cannot assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled while entertaining states that contradict this assumption. The mind that would manifest its desires must become single in its focus, undivided in its attention, unwavering in its assumption. This does not mean that you ignore practical responsibilities or become disconnected from the world around you. Rather, it means that you handle all of your practical affairs from the consciousness of your desired state already fulfilled. You pay your bills from the consciousness of wealth, not poverty. You interact with others from the consciousness of love, not fear. You approach your work from the consciousness of success, not struggle. When your focus becomes this unified, this consistent, something miraculous begins to happen. The world around you begins to reorganize itself to match your inner state. Opportunities appear that were always there but invisible to your former state of consciousness. People respond to you differently because you are radiating a different quality of consciousness. Circumstances align themselves in ways that seem miraculous, but are actually the natural result of your changed focus. This is the great work, my friends. Not the work of changing your circumstances directly, but the work of changing your consciousness so completely that new circumstances must appear. Your circumstances are not your problem. Your consciousness is your opportunity. Change your consciousness, maintain your new focus until it becomes natural, and your world must change to match. But let me warn you of the greatest enemy of sustained focus, the appearance of things. Your senses will continue to report your old reality even after you have begun to focus upon your new state. This is natural and temporary, but it is here that most people fail. They allow the evidence of their senses to convince them that their new focus is not working, and they return to their old patterns of consciousness. You must understand that the senses report the past, not the future. What you see around you now is the result of your former states of consciousness. As you maintain your new focus, as you continue to assume your desired state, the evidence of your senses will gradually change to match your new inner state. But you must be willing to persist in your assumption even when the evidence seems to contradict it. This is the faith that moves mountains, not belief in something external to yourself, but the persistent assumption of your desired state, regardless of appearances. Faith, properly understood, is focus maintained in the face of contrary evidence. It is the refusal to accept your current circumstances as permanent, coupled with the persistent assumption that your desired state is already yours in consciousness. The man who would master manifestation must become like the actor, who is so absorbed in his role that he thinks, feels, and acts from the character he is portraying. But unlike the actor who knows he is playing a role, you must become so identified with your desired state that it becomes more real to you than your former identity. You must focus so completely upon being what you want to be that your former self becomes like a half-remembered dream. This identification cannot be partial or occasional. It must be complete and continuous. Every thought must proceed from your new assumption. Every feeling must be consistent with your desired state. Every word you speak to yourself must reinforce your new identity. This is the level of focus that creates new realities, that manifests the impossible, that transforms human experience. Most people focus intensely upon what they do not want, thereby creating more of it, and then wonder why their lives are filled with unwanted experiences. They focus upon illness and create more illness. They focus upon lack and create more lack. They focus upon loneliness and create more loneliness. But the same power of focus that creates unwanted experiences can create desired experiences. The choice is always yours. But you must make the choice completely. You cannot hedge your bets, maintaining one foot in your old state while tentatively exploring your new one. Consciousness will not be marked. It responds only to your dominant, sustained focus, not to your occasional desires or half-hearted attempts. If you would be wealthy in experience, you must be wealthy in consciousness. If you would be loved in experience, you must be loving in consciousness. If you would be successful in experience, you must be successful in consciousness. This brings us to perhaps the most important point of all. Focus is not something you do with your mind. Focus is something you become with your entire being. When you truly focus upon your desired state, your whole consciousness becomes reorganized around it. Your thoughts, your feelings, your expectations, your inner conversations, everything within you begins to harmonize with your desire. This harmony of consciousness is what creates the irresistible momentum that must externalize itself as your lived experience. The great masters throughout history have understood this principle. They did not achieve their greatness through struggle or strain, but through the sustained assumption of their desired state until it became their natural way of being. They focused so completely upon what they wanted to become that they literally became it in consciousness first. And their external achievements were simply the inevitable expression of their inner transformation. You have this same power within you. You have the ability to reorganize your entire consciousness around any state you choose to assume. But you must choose completely focus entirely and persist until your assumption becomes your natural state of being. This is not the work of a day or a week. It is the work of transformation, the work of becoming who you are truly meant to be. When you truly understand that everything you desire requires a new level of focus, you stop looking outside yourself for solutions. You stop waiting for circumstances to change before you can be happy. You stop depending upon others to give you what you want. Instead, you turn within to the only place where lasting change can occur, your own consciousness. You focus upon your desired state with such consistency and intensity that it becomes more real to you than your current circumstances. This is the path of the conscious creator, the one who understands that all creation begins in consciousness and is sustained by focus. You are not at the mercy of external forces. You are the creative power in your own experience. But this power must be consciously directed through sustained focus upon your desired states. Random thinking creates random experiences. Focused thinking creates deliberate experiences. The question is not whether you have the power to create your desired experiences. You are creating your experiences constantly through your focus. The question is whether you will use this power consciously and deliberately, or continue to use it unconsciously and randomly. Will you focus upon what you want and thereby create it? Or will you continue to focus upon what you do not want and thereby perpetuate it? Everything you desire is waiting for you in consciousness. Every state you wish to experience already exists as a potential reality within you. But potential must be activated through focus, sustained and concentrated until it becomes actual. This activation is not a one-time effort, but a continuous practice, a new way of being that must be maintained until it becomes automatic. The old you focused upon problems and created more problems. The old you focused upon limitations and created more limitations. The old you focused upon what was lacking and created more lack. But the new you, the conscious you, the awakened you, focuses upon desires and creates their fulfillment. This new you understands that focus is the creative power of God operating through human consciousness, and therefore focuses only upon states that are worthy of creation. My friends, I leave you tonight with this truth. You are the focus of infinite consciousness in individual expression. How you choose to focus this conscious determines the entire quality of your experience. Focus upon love, and love surrounds you. Focus upon abundance, and abundance flows to you. Focus upon joy, and joy fills your days. But focus upon fear, lack, or limitation, and these too will be your experience. The choice is always yours. The power is always within you. And the time is always now. Everything you desire requires a new level of focus, not the scattered attention of the past, but the concentrated power of consciousness deliberately directed toward your chosen end. When you truly focus in this way, when you become what you want to be in consciousness first, your world has no choice but to conform to your inner conviction. This is the law. This is the way, and this is your inheritance as a conscious being in a universe of infinite possibilities.